know, Dr. Kevorkian died. I have to employ Plan B now. See, I used to think that I was really depressed, and I am very depressed, but I thought it was my job, but I quit my job. And I've discovered that, you know, I'm depressed, but I quit my job, very proud of myself. I quit my job and I got unemployment, which is almost impossible to do, but I made a case. I got every doctor in my life, which is basically every doctor in the city, to write a letter for me. The only one that didn't write a letter was my gynecologist, because what was she going to say? Jane's vagina is depressed because of the job? No. So, but I got my psychiatrist, which I love saying that. It makes me sound even sicker than I really am. My psychiatrist. He wrote a letter it was genius, and it definitely took it over the edge. With that kind of letter, they would have had to they had to give me unemployment or put me in a psychiatric institute. I mean, there's no option. And so now I'm not working, and I'm still depressed because I don't know, I'm at new boundaries now. I've just discovered. I was a social worker, and first of all, I don't like people. Second of all, I like animals. I should have worked with animals. That really, I should have been the kind of human, you think about Diane Fossey, those of you who can remember. Diane Fossey was a woman who basically worked most of her life in the Congo saving the silverback gorillas. What have I done? I spent most of my life working in the South Bronx, saving the occasional alcoholic sociopath. It's not the same thing. I'm not going to be remembered for that. So, you know, I hate a social work. It's not being I like my clients. I have to say I like my clients. But it was, they promoted me very quickly, very inappropriate. I was promoted because you become a supervisor, which is middle management, which sucks the big one. And I mean, it's really repulsive. So I became middle management because I could make eye contact for 3 seconds and write a coherent sentence. So what does that mean? It means that not only do you have this very stressful work, working with really, I mean, the homeless and the elderly and the, you know, the addicts, which those I could sympathize with, and the mentally ill, sympathize with them too, but it's a bit, you know, it's the staff. I hated my staff. I hated my fucking staff with such a passion, and they hated me with the same passion, but what would happen is right around evaluation time, they start kissing your ass, you know, because, or they start screaming, I'm going to the union. I'm running to the union. There was a Woody Guthrie song about going to the union, and they've ruined it because they'll keep any piece of shit on just because they're in the union. All right, I got that out of my system. It's going to be a whole show about working, and so being middle management, and then your supervisor is evil, so you have that too. I used to pass one in the hall. I smell sulfur, so don't kid me. This woman was not. And as a supervisor, you know what you have to do? You have to take control. You have to confront. I don't like confronting. I don't like confronting people. It makes me, you know, I want to be liked by everybody, even at the same time while I don't like you. I mean, very important to me. So I was the director of, always the director, because that's what you become. I was the director of an outpatient clinic for drug addicts. Now, I understand drug addicts because I've been a drug addict for a year. I mean, I'm in recovery, I understand. And, okay, what was my bottom? I once was underwater, which, you know, I wasn't trying to drown myself. I just happened to be underwater, and I hallucinated that I saw gefilte fish rushing toward me. That really wasn't a bottom because I wasn't scared. How fast could it move in its jar? You know? Okay, so I'm the director of this clinic, and it turns out you generally hire in drug clinics, you hire drug addicts who you hope are still in recovery. And generally one of them or two of them or all of them are not. That's what happens. Okay, so I start getting reports from the staff, and then I start getting reports from the client that it looks like Bob is kind of nodding off in his group. And I have to do something about it. Oh, Jesus Christ, I don't want to do this. I hate confrontation, but I had to. So I go in and I say, look, Bob, You know, I hate to bring this up, but I think it looks like you're using again, because number one, you're missing a lot of work. You got a funny attitude, and is that a syringe hanging out of you? I don't want to overstate the obvious. You know, I'm really offended, Jane, that you should say that. You shouldn't. I mean, really, I'm not using. I'm depressed. That's what accounts for it. I don't know about the syringe. Someone planted it on me, but I am extremely depressed, Jane. Listen, I know about depression. And when I get depressed, I will isolate, I will watch constant television shit, but I will not be leading a relapse prevention group and go into an alcoholic haze and nod and collapse on the floor. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to the union, I'm going to the union, I'm a minority, I'm going to the union. You know, Jews, we're all in middle management. So we can't do shit. So then I was director of a 32-bed residence for the mentally ill. That was very festive because it was open 24 hours. Obviously, they lived there, so I had part-time staff, I had per diem staff, full-time staff, and that meant my phone was ringing all the time because anytime they do everything, you know, they do everything on site. Anytime, every time they do anything right is unusual. It's always something they have to call you because they want you're responsible for everything, everything. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, my phone is ringing, and I have this hysteric on the phone who's saying, "I don't know what to do, Jane. You're the supervisor. You're the director. You got to help me out. I mean, I'm having a panic attack, and I can't fall asleep. I'm going to help you out. Go get your job description, read it carefully, and you will notice that you are the overnight counselor and you're not supposed to be asleep, okay?" And I grew up in Chelsea. That's another thing that's wrong with me. Chelsea. Gee, you know what, Chelsea? Well, when I grew up, I mean, it was a slum, first of all. It was a complete slum. Then it began to slowly morph into the overflow from the West Village. And now it is morphing into these babies. Just babies all over. Every carriage is like a double-decker carriage. And then you have carriages that have 4. My apprentice said that's not true. I saw 4 fucking babies in a row. There's always a dog on the end, naturally. We don't have enough people, we're not depleting enough resources, just keep popping them out. Go for the fertility drugs. All right, so that's Chelsea, that's Manhattan, 42nd Street. I used to love it when it had pimps and whores. Now it's Walt Disney on Parade. I get nauseous from 42nd Street. So, you know, all of that is part of, you know, my problem. And I was educated in a communist progressive school where twice a year during the school year they dump us on a Mennonite farm to learn how to make candles, butter, and milk cows. Good, good. That helped my life along. And then they send me to Dalton, which is like the snottiest fucking school. It really is. It is a snotty. Yes, it was a girls' school when I went there. They're all rich, and we weren't. We were not rich. So I felt like, I always feel like an outsider, but I really felt like an outsider there, and I got to do something. So I mobilized, and I stole their money. And then I organized a vigilante committee to find the thief. Very clever. And okay, so all right, I've been living with animals too. I did live with a man. I only say that because I don't have a routine about it. So you know, I don't want people making assumptions. I mean, you know, she's not gay. She's not. What the hell is wrong with her? You know, what is it? She is nothing. But you'll hear the family story. You'll understand why. I live with cats, and I'll say something. I hate them. Hate them. Disgusting. I don't mean disgusting creatures. You know, the vomiting and the puking. You're in another room. They're just spiteful, vicious animals, and they know you're not going to get there in time. 3 o'clock in the morning on the pillow next to you. Wonderful. I thought my boyfriend was having a heart attack until I remembered I didn't have a boyfriend. Just fabulous, and it always has to be 2 cats or 3 cats. You know, I had a Maine Coon cat. I loved him. Wonderful cat. Came with a heart condition, of course, and so it cost me $1,000. He had a better, what is it? Heart specialist. What do they call them? I'm going something like an aneurysm. Thank you. It's an aneurysm. If I don't know cardiac, 2 master's degrees, I don't know what a heart specialist is. Okay, so it was. He had a better cardiologist. I would like to be a cat. I'd like to convince her that I was a cat. You know, grow more chin hairs and hair all over my body. Cat, because she was wonderful. So that isn't the point. The point is that I had him, and then I brought in a little friend for him. I brought a rescue so people wouldn't turn and rip my heart out. What, you bought a cat? And there are all these cats roaming around. Fucking cat people, I'm sorry. So, all right, so I brought in the rescue. They got along for 12 years. He dies, and I had 2 years alone with her, happiest 2 years of her life. But I couldn't leave it alone. I decided she was lonely. Now, I'm lonely. She wasn't lonely. Cats are solitary creatures. They don't need people. They like to be alone, clean their ass, go to sleep, eat, use litter, whatever. But I bring in, everybody said, don't bring in a kitten. You have a 14-year-old cat, don't bring in a kitten. I immediately got a kitten. And I got another Maine Coon. So they're, you know, Maine Coons are like huge animals. And he's kind of a doofus. He's a sweet cat. All he wants is a friend. So he keeps trying to be her friend. She hates his guts. He tries to be her friend, she hisses. He goes over, she growls. He comes over, acting like this. I think I've recreated my parents' marriage on some hideous level. I'm not quite sure about that. I had a cat, they have 9 lives. I have a cat, her name was Mouse the cat, and Mouse the cat jumped out well, she didn't, she fell out a 5-story window, and she actually survived. She was staying with my parents at the time. It was probably a suicide attempt.